In the heart of a bustling African city, beneath the sweltering sun, the unexpected began to unfold. Amidst the chaos of honking cars and chattering vendors, Mariam's time had come sooner than she anticipated. The street was crowded, the air thick with the scent of spices and the endless rhythms of urban life. Mariam, a young woman with deep brown eyes and a gentle smile, was known for her kindness in the neighborhood. She had moved to the city years ago, carrying dreams that were as vast as the plains of the savannah. Today, she carried something else entirely, a new life about to assert its arrival. As she navigated through the market, her steps became labored. Each breath seemed heavier, each moment stretched longer than the last. People around her were too caught up in their daily transactions to notice her distress at first. Then, without warning, the pains intensified. Mariam reached out, her hand finding the cool, rough wall of a nearby shop. The shopkeeper, an elderly man named Kwame, looked up from his array of colorful fabrics. His eyes widened in realization as he rushed to her side. "Daughter, what is wrong?" Kwame asked, his voice laced with concern. "It's time," Mariam managed to say between clenched teeth, the words barely escaping her lips. Without hesitation, Kwame called for help. The market, once a scene of individual stories and silent battles, came together in a spectacle of communal effort. Women selling vegetables laid down their baskets, while men unloading goods paused, turning their attention towards Mariam. Amina, a midwife known for her wisdom and warmth, was among the crowd. She had delivered countless children in the community, her hands skilled in the ancient dance of birth. Today, her skills would be needed once more in the least expected of places. As Amina approached, the crowd parted with respect. She knelt beside Mariam, her presence soothing. "Do not fear, my child," Amina whispered, her hands expertly preparing for the birth. "This child chooses its own path, but you are not alone." Mariam, her back against the wall, looked into the circle of faces around her, faces marked with concern, but also with an unspoken solidarity. Despite the pain, she felt a surge of gratitude. This was more than a street. It was a community, a family formed not by blood but by shared moments of joy and hardship. The labor progressed, and with each passing minute, Mariam's cries mingled with the sounds of the market, the cries of life joining life, pain meeting relief. And then, with a final determined push, the cries of a newborn pierced the air. The baby, a little boy with curls as dark as the wood of the mahogany trees, was lifted by Amina's steady hands. His first breath was a cry that resonated through the street, a declaration of his arrival. "Look, Mariam," Amina said softly, placing the child into his mother's arms. "Look what you have brought into this world." Mariam's tears were a mixture of pain and joy as she cradled her son. The people around cheered, clapped, and some even danced. The shopkeeper, Kwame, brought a blanket, wrapping the new life in the vibrancy of African textiles. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the market, the day's excitement settled into stories that would be told and retold about the day a child was born on the street, under the watchful eyes of a community that came together as one. Mariam and her child were no longer just participants in the market's daily life, but had become a living legend of the community's strength and unity. The day faded, and the stars began to twinkle, whispering the tales of a street that delivered more than just goods, but also delivered a future wrapped in the warm embrace of folk and family. With the echoes of celebration still resonant in the air, the market slowly returned to its usual rhythm. Mariam, cradling her newborn son under the gentle glow of a street lamp, felt a peaceful calm wash over her. The fabric vendor, Kwame, had transformed his shop into a temporary sanctuary for the new mother and her child. Night had blanketed the city, and the market's vibrant noises had softened into a lullaby of distant laughter and the occasional bark of street dogs. The air was cooler now, a soft breeze carrying tales from faraway places. In the stillness, Amina, the experienced midwife, remained by Mariam's side. She prepared a concoction of herbs known to aid recovery and soothe spirits. The aroma mingled with the night air, creating an aura of ancient wisdom and care. "Drink, my dear," Amina urged gently, handing Mariam a steaming cup. "These herbs will restore your strength." Mariam accepted the cup, her hands trembling slightly from the ordeal and exhaustion. As she sipped the herbal brew, her eyes met Amina's, and in them she found a reassuring depth, a testament to the countless lives the midwife had ushered into the world under less than ordinary circumstances. Nearby, a group of children, drawn by the day's events, peered curiously at the baby. Their eyes were wide with wonder, their whispers creating a tapestry of awe and speculation. "He will be strong," one little girl declared with the confidence only a child possesses. "He was born amidst the heartbeat of our streets." Her companions nodded in agreement, their faces lit by the flickering light of a nearby fire, where an elder was roasting maize. The savory scent tempted even the weary, and soon Mariam found herself surrounded by well-wishers, bringing gifts of food, handmade toys, and blessings. The elder, an old man with a face as lined as the map of the continent, approached Mariam. In his hands he held a small carved wooden figure, a traditional symbol of protection and strength. "This is for him," the elder said, placing the figure beside the sleeping baby. "He is born of the street, under the eye of the moon. He will always be protected by the spirits of our ancestors." As the night deepened, tales began to weave through the crowd. The storytellers, custodians of oral history, took turns recounting the legends that shaped their culture, tales of heroes born under unusual circumstances, of omens and prophecies, each story adding layers to the fabric of the community's identity. Mariam listened, her heart swelling with pride and wonder at the life she held in her arms. Her son, born on the street, had already become a part of something larger than themselves, an eternal story woven into the lives of those around him. The night waned, and one by one the market dwellers departed, leaving Mariam, Amina, and the sleeping child under the watchful stars. The soft cooing of a distant dove was the only sound that filled the air, a serene song that seemed to bless the new life that had joined the world in such extraordinary fashion. In the silence that followed, Amina spoke softly, her words floating in the cool air. "He will sleep now, and so should you. Tomorrow holds its own." Mariam nodded, her eyes heavy with fatigue, yet bright with the unspoken dreams she harbored for her son. As she settled down beside her child, the street quiet and bathed in moonlight, she felt an unbreakable bond with the city that had embraced her so warmly. Here, under the canopy of the night sky, her son's life had begun, not just as a continuation of her own, but as a living, breathing part of the community's heartbeat. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, the city stirred awake. The first rays of sunlight kissed the market streets, where the remnants of the previous night's gatherings whispered stories into the new day. Mariam, her eyes fluttering open to the gentle morning light, felt a renewed sense of life pulsing through the marketplace. Kwame was already up, his hands busy rearranging his fabrics, each movement shaking off the night's stillness. He glanced over at Mariam and her newborn, a smile spreading across his face as he observed the quiet strength that motherhood had bestowed upon her. "Today," he announced, "we will have a naming ceremony right here under the baobab tree. It's only fitting, for he is one of us now." The baobab, standing at the edge of the market, was an ancient sentinel. Its wide trunk and sprawling branches had witnessed countless seasons and served as a communal gathering spot for celebrations and deliberations. Today, it would witness another significant moment, welcoming a new soul into its protective shade. As word of the ceremony spread, the community began to converge around the baobab. Elders, youngsters, vendors, and customers alike came bearing gifts and their presence, each adding to the vibrant tapestry of the day. Amina, having ensured that Mariam was well and ready, took charge of the preparations. She adorned the area beneath the tree with colorful cloths and baskets of flowers, creating an atmosphere that resonated with the cultural heritage of the community. The elders formed a semicircle around Mariam and her child, their faces etched with lines of wisdom. One by one, they offered names, each accompanied by a story explaining the virtues it carried. "The strength of a lion," one elder suggested, his voice resonant with the authority of one who had lived long and seen much. "The wisdom of the ancestors," another proposed, her voice as soft as the breeze that rustled through the baobab leaves. As the sun climbed higher, the air filled with the sounds of traditional drums and singing. Children danced around the tree, their laughter blending with the music, creating a melody of pure joy. Finally, it was time to choose the name. Mariam, holding her son close, listened to her heart. The name that resonated with her spoke of resilience and hope, qualities she wished fervently for her son. "Kunto," she said, her voice clear and steady. He will be called Kunto, for he will be strong and courageous. A cheer erupted from those gathered, and the drumbeats grew louder, more exuberant. Kunto, now formally named, was passed gently among the elders, each blessing him and whispering secrets of life into his tiny ears. The ceremony continued well into the afternoon, with feasting and storytelling under the baobab's watchful care. As the shadows lengthened and the heat of the day softened into a cooler evening, the people began to disperse, their hearts full of the day's joy. Mariam sat back against the baobab, Kunto sleeping peacefully in her lap, enveloped in the warmth of community and the silent strength of the ancient tree. Above her, the leaves whispered in the wind, as if recounting the day's joy to the skies above. The marketplace, once just a place of commerce, had transformed once again into a cradle of life's deeper connections, weaving new threads into the fabric of community life. As night approached, the stars took their places in the sky, ready to watch over Kunto and his dreams, just as the baobab stood guard over them all. As night settled once more over the bustling marketplace, a quiet calm descended, wrapping the city in a cloak of tranquility. The stars twinkled above, casting a gentle light on the streets below, where the day's festivities had woven a tapestry of community spirit and joy. Mariam sat outside her small dwelling, Kunto nestled against her, both wrapped in the warmth of a hand-woven blanket. The air was cool, carrying the scents of the earth after the day's warmth. Nearby, the baobab stood as a silent guardian, its branches outlined against the moonlit sky. This evening was special, as the market was quieter than usual, allowing the whispers of the ancestors to be heard in the rustling leaves and the distant calls of night creatures. It was a time for reflection, for under the African sky, every star seemed to hold a story, a lesson from the past to guide the future. From the shadows emerged Kwame, his steps soft on the dusty path. He approached Mariam, a gentle smile playing on his lips. In his hands, he carried an ancient imbira, its keys worn smooth by generations of storytellers. He sat beside her, the instrument resting on his knee. "Music for Kunto," he said, his fingers beginning to dance across the imbira's keys, plucking out a melody as old as the hills that bordered the city. The sound was sweet and melancholic, a lullaby that spoke of endless cycles of life and the continuous flow of time. Mariam listened, her heart swelling with gratitude for the kindness of her neighbor. The notes seemed to weave around them, creating a protective bubble of melody. Kunto, hearing the soft music, cooed softly, his small hands reaching out into the air. As the melody continued, more figures approached, drawn by the music. They brought with them the quiet companionship that only night could foster. Amina joined the circle, her presence adding a sense of completeness to the gathering. She carried with her a small pot of honey, a gift for Kunto to symbolize the sweetness of life. "These moments," Amina began, her voice as soothing as the music, "remind us that we are all part of a greater whole. We share our joys, our sorrows, and our hopes. Kunto's arrival has brought us together in ways we could not foresee." The group nodded, each person feeling the truth in her words. Their eyes reflected the flicker of a small fire that had been lit to ward off the chill of the night. Around the fire, the stories began to flow, tales of brave deeds, of love found and lost, of the spirits that walked the earth when darkness fell. Each story added to the night's magic, knitting the community closer together. Young ones listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder, while the elders spoke with the ease of those who had told these tales many times before. As the night deepened, the stars moved across the sky in their slow dance. The music of the mbira, the warmth of the fire, and the murmur of voices filled the air with a palpable sense of belonging and peace. Finally, as the first hint of dawn approached, the gathering drew to a close. The fire was doused and the imbira fell silent. Mariam, holding Kunto, who was now deep in sleep, felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The community, her family by choice rather than blood, had embraced her and her son, weaving their lives into the colorful fabric of market life. As Kwame and Amina departed, they left behind a silence that was full of promise. The marketplace slept, but the stories and songs of the night lingered, like a gentle echo, reminding all who listened that they were never truly alone under the vast African sky. With the first light of dawn, the marketplace slowly awoke, stretching out of the night's slumber. The air was fresh, carrying the scent of moist earth and new beginnings. Around the baobab tree, the remnants of the previous night's gathering whispered tales into the waking day. Mariam, with Kunto cradled against her chest, stood by her dwelling watching the sun's golden rays paint the market with hues of amber and gold. The community was stirring to life, each individual contributing to the symphony of morning activities. Vendors set up their stalls with the efficiency of long practice, their goods displayed in vibrant arrays of colors and textures. Nearby, children gathered, their laughter ringing clear in the crisp morning air. They chased each other around the baobab, their games weaving through the legs of adults who chatted amiably as they prepared for another day of trade. Kwame, ever the early riser, was arranging his fabrics with an artist's touch, each fold catching the light just so. He glanced over at Mariam and Kunto, a smile spreading across his face. Today he had decided he would teach the young ones the art of storytelling through fabric, each pattern and color a piece of history to be shared and preserved. As the morning progressed, Amina joined Mariam, bringing with her a basket filled with herbs and roots. For strength and health, she explained, handing Mariam some of the contents. Together, they walked through the market, Amina pointing out the medicinal properties of various plants. "This one," Amina said, holding up a bright red flower, "is for courage and heart. It helps those who need to be brave." She tucked it gently into Mariam's hair, a vibrant contrast to her dark curls. The market was now fully alive, a buzz of activity and conversation. Every corner held a story, every stall a legacy of trade passed down through generations. The air vibrated with the calls of vendors advertising their wares, the clink of coins and the haggle of negotiations. As noon approached, the heat of the day began to make itself known, the sun climbing high in the sky. Under the shade of the baobab, the children gathered for Kwame's lesson. He spread out a series of fabrics, each with a different pattern. "These designs," he explained, pointing to a fabric adorned with intricate geometric shapes, "tell of the paths our ancestors walked. Each line, each intersection has a meaning." The children listened, captivated by the idea that cloth could carry tales just like the spoken word. Mariam watched, holding Kunto close, feeling a deep connection to the traditions being passed to the next generation. Her heart was full, seeing her son already a part of such a rich tapestry of community life. As the day wore on, the marketplace did not slow. Instead, it transformed with the passage of the sun. Shades lengthened, the pace changed from the vibrant buzz of morning to a more languid rhythm. The air grew cooler as the sun began its descent, and the marketplace prepared to fold into the embrace of the coming night. In this transition, Mariam felt a serene alignment with the world around her. The marketplace, a hub of ceaseless activity, also mirrored the natural cycles of day and night, work and rest. Here, under the ever-watchful baobab, life unfolded in its natural rhythm, each moment a thread in the ongoing weave of existence. As evening approached, the marketplace began to settle under the soft glow of twilight. The air, cooler now, carried whispers of the day's end, its stories floating on the breeze like dandelion seeds. Mariam, seated beneath the broad limbs of the baobab tree, with Kunto sleeping soundly in her lap, watched as the last rays of the sun painted the sky in streaks of orange and purple. The marketplace was transitioning, vendors packing up their wares, children slowing their games, and the elders gathering to share in the evening's calm. Kwame approached, his day's work complete, carrying a small pot of tea infused with local herbs. He settled beside Mariam, offering her a cup. The warmth from the tea mingled with the coolness of the evening, creating a perfect balance. "Evenings like these remind us to pause," Kwame noted, his gaze following a falling leaf. "They bring peace to the heart, don't they?" Mariam nodded, sipping her tea, the herbal blend soothing her thoughts. She felt the weight of the day lift, leaving behind a contentment only understood by those who have felt the unity of community life pulse around them. Near them, Amina joined the circle, her presence always a comfort. She carried with her a bundle of dried herbs to burn, their scent meant to cleanse the air and ward off the night's chill. "These are for protection," Amina explained as she lit the bundle, the smoke curling upwards, carrying with it prayers and old songs. "They keep us safe as we dream under the stars." The smoke swirled around them, its aroma earthy and rich. The elders began to speak, their voices low and rhythmic, recounting tales not of heroic deeds or ancient battles, but of simple truths and daily wonders. Each story, a thread woven into the fabric of their culture, preserved and passed on under the canopy of the baobab. Children, not yet ready for sleep, gathered at the elders' feet, their eyes wide in the dimming light. They listened, captivated by the cadence of voices that painted pictures more vivid than any seen by day. As the stars began to dot the sky, the marketplace was transformed into a place of restful shadows and soft whispers. The harsh light of day gave way to the subtle beauty of night, revealing a different face of the market, a place not only of commerce but of living heritage. Mariam felt a gentle breeze brush against her cheek, a night's kiss. Kunto stirred slightly in his sleep, comforted by the steady heartbeat of his mother. The baobab, under which they all gathered, stood silent and strong, its branches stretching out like arms ready to embrace the night's tales. The evening wore on, and one by one the community members bid each other good night, their steps slow and satisfied. They left behind the warmth of shared stories and the security of known presences. Kwame, before departing, looked at Mariam and Kunto, a soft smile gracing his face. "The night holds us all," he said, his voice a mere whisper in its peaceful embrace. Mariam watched as the marketplace emptied, feeling a deep connection to this place and its people. The night deepened, and the stars shone brighter, each one a silent guardian watching over the marketplace and its inhabitants. Here, under the baobab, wrapped in the cloak of night, Mariam and Kunto were home. With the new day breaking, a soft mist hung over the marketplace, draping every stall, tree and pathway in a gentle haze. The air was fresh, saturated with the scent of morning dew that whispered of new beginnings. As the sun's first rays touched the tips of the rooftops, the market stirred gently into life, a gradual awakening to the rhythm of another day. Mariam, holding Kunto in her arms, stepped out from their modest home into the coolness of the morning. The marketplace was quiet still, with only the earliest risers beginning their daily routines. Kunto, his eyes wide and curious, gazed at the familiar sights with a sense of wonder, each day bringing new facets of his world into sharper focus. Near the baobab tree, a small group of elders gathered, their morning ritual of sharing tea and stories already underway. They welcomed Mariam with warm smiles, making space for her among them. The tea was strong and aromatic, infused with herbs that tickled the senses and cleared the mind. As they sipped their tea, Amina arrived, her steps light and purposeful. She brought with her a basket filled with fresh fruits from her garden, their colors vibrant against the soft gray of the morning. "For the child," she said, handing Mariam a bright, juicy mango. "May it sweeten his day." Kunto reached out with small, eager hands, his grasp firm around the mango. The elders chuckled, delighting in his enthusiasm. Mariam watched, her heart swelling with love as Kunto explored the fruit, his tiny fingers sticky with juice. It was then, in the quiet comfort of the morning circle, amidst the laughter of his elders and the serene gaze of his mother, that Kunto uttered his first clear word. "Mama," he said, the sound soft yet unmistakable, ringing out like a gentle declaration. The circle fell silent for a moment, then erupted in cheers and clapping. "He speaks!" one of the elders exclaimed, his voice rich with joy. "He knows his heart's voice." Mariam hugged Kunto close, tears of happiness sparkling in her eyes. The word, simple yet profound, echoed around them, weaving into the fabric of the marketplace's morning. The news of Kunto's first word spread quickly through the marketplace as it woke to full life. Vendors setting up their stalls smiled at the news, their day brightened by the milestone of a child among them. Throughout the day, people came by to see Kunto, bringing gifts of sweets, tiny handmade clothes, and blessings. Each visitor left feeling a bit lighter, touched by the innocence and promise of new speech. As the sun climbed higher, bathing the marketplace in its warm embrace, Mariam sat under the baobab, Kunto playing contentedly at her feet. The air vibrated with the day's business, yet around the baobab, there was a peaceful enclave where time seemed to slow, allowing those who gathered to savor the moment. The elders continued to share their stories, each tale a thread in the tapestry of community knowledge. Children played nearby, their laughter mingling with the calls of vendors and the chatter of customers. The marketplace was alive with the rhythms of daily life, each sound, each voice contributing to the symphony of communal existence. As the day wore on, the warmth of the sun was matched by the warmth in Mariam's heart. Kunto, his first word a memory now woven into the history of the marketplace, continued to explore his world, his every discovery a testament to the vibrant life teeming around him. Under the baobab, surrounded by friends and family, mother and son shared in the simple joy of being part of something greater, a community bound by stories, sustained by shared moments, and cherished through the love of its members. The marketplace buzzed with a special energy, for today was the Festival of the First Words, a cherished tradition celebrating the first spoken words of the community's children. Flags and banners in a multitude of colors adorned the stalls and pathways, fluttering like wings in the gentle breeze. Drums and flutes filled the air with music, a rhythmic heartbeat that called to young and old alike. Mariam dressed Kunto in a vibrant outfit, a small tunic adorned with symbols of protection and strength, each stitch a prayer from the elders. Her own attire mirrored her son's, rich in color and meaning, representing their family lineage and the blessings of their ancestors. As they approached the baobab tree, the site of today's festivities, their arrival was greeted with cheers. The tree itself was decorated with ribbons and beads, each color telling a part of the story of the community's unity and diversity. Kwame was there, overseeing the setup of a large circle of seats around the baobab, where children would soon share their first words with the gathered crowd. His eyes twinkled with joy as he watched Kunto approach, knowing the significance of this day in the life of any child in the marketplace. Amina, ever the guardian of tradition, organized a procession of the children, leading them around the marketplace to the beat of the drums. Each child held a small lantern, illuminating their path with soft light, symbolizing the journey of growth and learning they were all undertaking. When it was Kunto's turn, Mariam held his hand tightly as they walked to the center of the circle. The drums quieted and a hush fell over the crowd. Mariam knelt beside Kunto, whispering encouragement. With a shy smile, Kunto looked out at the faces around him and said again, "Mama," his voice louder and more confident this time. Applause erupted, mixed with ululations and cheers. Each child's word was celebrated with equal joy, a communal affirmation of their growing voices and identities. The festival was not just about words spoken, but about recognizing each child as a vital thread in the fabric of community life. The celebration continued with feasting and stories. Elders shared tales of past festivals, their narratives weaving through the crowd, enriching the tapestry of communal memory. Food was abundant, with dishes that were as much a feast for the eyes as for the palate, each recipe handed down through generations. As the evening approached, the air filled with the aroma of roasting maize and spiced meats. Lanterns and fireflies lit the marketplace, creating a magical glow that danced on the faces of all who gathered. Musicians played well into the night, their melodies a bridge between the old and the new. Children danced with elders, their laughter a melody of its own. Mariam watched Kunto, his eyes alive with the excitement of the festival, his small feet trying to keep up with the rhythms of the dance. The Festival of the First Words was a day to remember, a celebration of growth, community, and the power of voice. As the night grew deep and the stars watched silently from above, the marketplace gradually quieted, the day's joy settling into the hearts of those who had shared in its magic. Mariam and Kunto, tired yet fulfilled, returned to their home under the watchful presence of the baobab. The tree, wrapped in the echoes of the day's laughter and words, stood as a steadfast guardian of the stories and lives that had unfolded beneath its branches. Under the luminous glow of a full harvest moon, the marketplace seemed to be bathed in a silvery light, casting long shadows and painting the stalls in hues of mystery and anticipation. The night was special, marking the beginning of the harvest season, a time of thanksgiving and reflection for the bounty that the earth provided. Mariam, with Kunto now toddling beside her, prepared for the evening's festivities. They joined hands, weaving through the paths of the marketplace, transformed tonight into a canvas of moonlit scenes. Lanterns hung from poles and the edges of tents flickered gently, their lights mingling with the natural glow from above. The air was crisp, carrying the rich, earthy aroma of harvested grains and fruits. Stalls overflowed with the season's abundance, corn, millets, yams, and fruits that gleamed under the moon's watchful eye. The community came together in a vibrant display of gratitude, each person contributing to the collective feast. At the center of the marketplace, near the ancient baobab, a large circle was formed by the elders. Here, a grand storytelling session was about to commence, an oral tapestry of the year's triumphs and challenges. Mariam and Kunto found a spot near Kwame, who had brought fabrics depicting scenes of harvest to decorate the communal area. As the storytelling began, a hush fell over the crowd. The first tale was that of an elder who spoke of the year's rains, which had been generous and timely, nourishing the crops that now filled their stores. His voice, seasoned with the wisdom of many seasons, carried across the listeners, each word underscored by the soft rustle of leaves above. Following the tales, musicians with drums and flutes played melodies that spoke of the earth's generosity. The music invited the community to dance, and soon the marketplace was alive with movement. Mariam, holding Kunto's hand, joined in the dance, their steps a joyful tribute to the season's gifts. Children ran about, their laughter blending with the music, while vendors offered tastes of their harvest produce. Kunto, with his burgeoning curiosity, tried different fruits, his expressions of delight bringing smiles to those around him. Later, as the moon climbed higher, the feast began in earnest. Tables laden with food formed a buffet of colors and scents. Mariam helped Kunto with small portions of everything, teaching him the names of the dishes as they went along. Each bite was an exploration, a story in itself, of the land's rich palate. As the night progressed, the stories and songs grew deeper, turning to legends of the moon and its influence on the crops and tides. The elders spoke of the balance between taking from the earth and giving back, a harmony that ensured the continuance of their way of life. The festival under the harvest moon was a celebration as much of the community's resilience as of its prosperity. As the evening wound down, families began to drift towards their homes, the children sleepy but happy, the elders satisfied with the shared experiences. Mariam and Kunto, their hearts and bellies full, lingered under the baobab. The tree under the moon's silver light seemed to hold not just the echoes of this night's joy, but the whispers of many such nights across the generations. Finally, as the moon began its descent, they too made their way home, the marketplace quiet now, resting under the night sky's protective gaze. The echoes of the drums faded into the distance, leaving behind a serene peace, a promise of continued abundance and shared days to come. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the marketplace slowly awakened, bathed in the soft glow of the morning. The festivities of the harvest moon had left a residue of joy and unity that seemed to linger in the air, like the faint perfume of a night-blooming flower. Mariam, rising early, stepped outside with Kunto, who clung to her hand with sleepy curiosity. The marketplace was quiet still, a peaceful solitude reigning before the day's bustle began. Together, they walked towards the baobab tree, its massive form a constant in the ever-changing tapestry of their lives. Under its branches, remnants of last night's celebration could still be seen. A forgotten shawl, a basket half filled with dried corn, and the faint outlines of footprints in the dust, each telling a silent story of the night before. As they reached the tree, Mariam sat down, pulling Kunto onto her lap. The tree, witness to countless seasons and secrets, seemed to embrace them in its shade. Mariam felt a deep connection to this place, rooted in the shared experiences and the stories passed down through generations. The marketplace began to stir, the silence gradually replaced by the sounds of opening stalls and morning greetings. Vendors nodded to Mariam as they passed, each smile a thread in the fabric of their community. Today was not just another day, it was a moment of new beginnings, of renewed promises to the land and each other. Mariam watched as Amina made her way through the stalls, her presence like a balm, spreading calm and assurance. Kwame joined them under the baobab, his arms laden with new fabrics, vibrant and richly patterned. For the next festival, he explained, his eyes gleaming with pride and anticipation. Each pattern tells a story. These will tell of last night's moon, of our harvest and our hopes. Kunto, intrigued by the colors, reached out, his small fingers brushing against the fabric. His gesture, simple yet profound, was a sign of the passing of legacy, of the young learning, and taking part in the cultural dialogues crafted by their elders. As the morning progressed, the marketplace filled with the laughter of children and the chatter of adults, the air rich with the smells of brewing tea and fresh pastries. It was a tapestry of life, continuously woven from the threads of individual stories, each adding strength and beauty to the whole. Mariam felt a surge of gratitude for this life, for the strength of the community and the simple beauty of each day. Kunto, growing before her eyes, was a part of this tapestry, his life interwoven with the many threads around him. As the sun rose higher, casting long shadows and bright beams through the baobab's leaves, Mariam whispered stories to Kunto of the tree, the marketplace, and the people who gave it life. Each story was a seed planted in the fertile ground of his mind, destined to grow into a tree of his own, rooted in the rich soil of tradition and nourished by the love of his community. The marketplace, vibrant and alive, continued its dance of life, each moment a continuation of the past and a step into the future. Under the baobab tree, Mariam and Kunto remained, a mother and her son, their hearts beating in rhythm with the marketplace, their spirits infused with the legacy of their ancestors, ready to weave their own stories into the ever-expanding tapestry of their world.